Welcome back. You're watching Keeping It Real. I'm David Grossman. Pleased to have with me in the studio here Darren Gradis. He's the CEO of Canada Restoration Services.com. Darren, welcome. Thanks very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Appreciate it. So now you are an expert in restoration, and I had a look through your website, and it looks like you guys are handling some very serious stuff. We're going to talk about mold in particular today, when mold is a deal breaker and how it's dealt with.
Okay.
That's the topic for today. So first of all, Darren, tell us a little bit about yourself and your company. How did you get into this business?
I came to the lovely Canada a few years ago with the interest of building a nationwide company, Canada's Restoration Services, that our objective is to help as many people as possible. We do that by dealing with mold, we do that by dealing with floods, with fire or smoke damages, asbestos if it needs to be removed. And so far we can't complain, we're doing very well.
So you're dealing with all of these things that scare the living daylights out of most people, and you deal with a number of emergencies.
Correct.
I know as well. I see there's a promise on your website of responding within 45 minutes.
Indeed, indeed.
Which is, you're lucky if you can get a pizza to your house in 45 minutes. So,
the concept behind it is we recruit people naturally of who they are, how they match our values in our company, the level of service they can provide, and also where they live. At the end of the day, all the teams go home with the operational vehicles. So 24/7 we have someone, if we're looking at the GTA, in Scarborough. We have a team in Mississauga. We have several teams downtown Toronto. We have teams Richmond Hill, Aurora, and that's how we recruit them. And we specifically gear the recruiting to people that can react to the 45 minutes response when customers need it.
Okay, now your company is truly Canada. You have offices in a number of different cities across the country.
The head office is located here in the GTA in Vaughan, Ontario. And in the last few years, we've managed to establish, not through franchises, but it's corporately, in Ottawa, Montreal, Calgary, Edmonton. We're looking at Vancouver by March 2013. And we have a few more, and then we'll achieve our goal by becoming a nationwide company by 2013.
That's terrific. Now let's talk about mold.
Okay.
As a deal breaker. So, what happens from a real estate agent's point of view or homeowner's point of view? They're trying to sell their home. Somebody's trying to buy a home. Two real estate agents are counting on this deal. And then what?
We'll start by the awareness. The awareness to mold has grown significantly in the past few years. People understand, unfortunately, that mold can affect your health. A real estate agent, whether he's buying or selling, in some cases come up to a situation where there is mold. Most of the cases where it's a sudden surprise would be mold in an attic. The changing of temperatures here in Canada, the fact that the attics do not have proper ventilation, that have too much insulation, that the bathroom fan is venting into the attic, causes a lot of mold in attics. A home inspector comes along, the house is okay, he puts his head or she puts her head into the attic, and now the attic is full of mold. The question is, what do you do from here? You have some real estate agents that have a lot of knowledge and understand that it's mold in an attic, something that we can treat, and we know how to do it. And my company knows how to do it and give a warranty for 25 years that it won't come back.
Mm-hmm.
There are many different solutions and ideas of how to perform the work. But if you understand that, yes, it exists, you can treat it. It does cost, but it's not a very high amount compared to what someone is buying or selling the house.
Right.
And if it's done correctly, there will be no health factors or anything that will affect the health of the people that are coming into the house. It shouldn't be a deal breaker.
How prevalent is this? How often does this happen?
If we're performing anywhere between 30 to 40 attics a week in the Toronto area, then it's happening a lot.
So you're actually remediating 30 to 40 attics a week?
In the Toronto area.
Right.
Well, you've got weeks that you do more, you've got weeks that you do less. It's very seasonal in this case. Not because of mold, but it's seasonal. It goes with the real estate. You can see that between December to January, there aren't too many house transactions. Not too many people are selling or buying or moving in. It goes down. After the winter, after ice damming, after the fact that the heat rises, and if there is insufficient or proper ventilation in the attics, houses go on the market. This year it started very early in January. The mold business in the attic starts growing very, very quickly. February, March, April, May, June, and now we're still into nearly the end of November, and we're still performing a lot of mold remediation in attics.
Is it worse in Toronto than other cities? Or?
It's not really worse in Toronto and other cities. Well, we're very established in Toronto, but it can be in a new house. It can be in an old house. It could be, for some odd reason, a trade that was building a subdivision misconnected or did something slightly wrong, and now the bathroom fans are venting into a brand new attic that the house was built a few months ago.
So obviously the bathroom fans are not supposed to be venting into an attic. That's a pretty serious boo-boo, right?
It is. It should be venting directly outside. Soffits that are blocked. Someone that did come and did it yourself installation, or they brought in an installation company that did not verify how far did the insulation go down. Did it actually block the soffits? And then there's lack of ventilation again. Mm-hmm. And then with the moisture, with the humidity, the condensation, mold will grow. Again, it can be treated. It can be treated properly if we do it the right way.
How long was the average remediation take?
The procedure that we follow will take 4 days, in which, depending which method we're using, whether it's soda blasting or ice blasting, and that depends on the surface or where we are, or where the house is, the first day will be concentrated on the actual removal. The second day will be removing all the insulation. It's not good enough to come and try and I don't want to mention name of companies or methods, but try and go the cheap way.
Right.
Cover it up, or so-called kill the mold. There's no such thing. Mold needs to be removed. Right. So the proper way to do it is to blast it off. Actually remove it. On our website, there are quite a few videos of how the mold is actually being physically removed by media blasting. So you actually remove it, and then you remove all the insulation. We don't want mold on the deck of the house. We don't want to. We need to find the source. We need to see that all the mold is gone. So the insulation is removed. The source of the problem, because there always is a source, must be fixed. When you fix the source, and we work with the best insulation companies, that's what they do for a living. They treat attics, they understand ventilation, they understand the building code. So when the insulation is removed, and then the source of the mold that caused it is fixed, the bathroom fan, the ventilation, the soffit is fixed, the insulation goes back in on the third day. We come in on the fourth day. We apply a plant-based antimicrobial again, and then we have another encapsulation that we can put on. We've never had the situation that mold came back in an attic. We have confidence that we give.
And you give a 25-year
warranty.
Warranty. So sometimes are you sending in a whole crew of guys? I mean, 4 days sounds like pretty fast. I imagine this
We'll work a crew of 2 or 3 people, depending on the size of the attic. And in most cases, within a day and a half, all the mold will be removed. We naturally need to set up all the containments, the air scrubbers, the negative air pressure, to make sure that the mold that we are creating while removing actually is vented outside of the premises.
Does the family need to leave the house
Not
for
at
those
all.
days? No. Okay.
Not at all. What we will block, and usually the attic accesses are through one of the bedrooms, the access to that bedroom will be sealed off. Okay. And then once the process is done, after 3 to 4 days, depending on the situation, the room will be totally wiped down, cleaned, HEPA vacuumed. It will be the cleanest room in the house, no doubt about that.
Okay, so 4 days is not that big of a deal. Like,
nope.
I mean, in a lot of cases, people will have, 5 days often for inspection condition or whatnot. So to add a few days in there to remediate something that of that scope of a problem. I was reading on your website that mold can grow at a rate of an inch a day, or something like a foot in a week, or some unbelievable.
Mold can grow very, very fast. We've seen mold grow within 24 hours behind drywall in situations that were in an uncontrolled environment. Mold grows on organic material. In some cases, mold grows even on concrete, but it's growing on the organic material on the concrete. But let's go back to that. If there's a lack of airflow, and that's the key, the wet, humid, organic material will grow mold. Mold exists everywhere. And if we're talking to real estate, we're talking to private customers, to anyone, people need to understand, mold exists everywhere. We're sitting in a very nice clean studio, there's still mold here. The question is, what type of mold and how much of it? And if it's not that much, and if it's the normal type, similar to the mold that we're going to step outside and breathe, then we're in an okay environment. So again, if you treat it right, you understand, you take it in the right proportion, you're going to be okay. If you deal with it in the proper way, you're going to be okay. You shouldn't step away from it. If you like the house, you want to buy the house, and there's mold in the attic, buy the house. We'll take care of the mold.
Right.
There are companies out there that they know how to do it correctly.
Right.
And we're one of them.
And the other thing I know it said is that once the cleanup is done, a third party needs to come in and validate. Is that right?
A third party needs to validate in many, many cases of mold removal. In an attic, which is not a living space as an example, and it's not where anybody's going to be going up or staying, the majority of the time it's a swab test. You come, you swab the material, and you see that swab is taken to a laboratory, and it always passes clearance. When you actually physically remove the mold and you clean the surfaces properly, there is no mold. The third-party clearance testing is something that we ask every single customer of ours. If there's mold in the basement, if there's mold in the bedroom, to bring in a third party. Mm-hmm. We know we do a good job, but we can't sign off that we did the good job. We can give you a clearance certificate that we finished, or completion form, sorry, that we finished. But we urge the customers to bring in a third party that make money on coming in. They don't make money on the actual removal. Mm-hmm. And that's something that people need to be aware of. You either need to be the company that tests, right, or the company that removes. You can't be on both sides of the fence.
Right. Well, Darren, you were referred to me by Alan Glushko, who I know has an excellent reputation as a home inspector. Correct. And from reading the materials on your website and from speaking with you, I have no doubt that your company will also do an excellent job in dealing with mold removal or any of the restoration work that you do. So thank you very much for being a guest on the show. I appreciate it. I hope you'll come back sometime, because there's some other interesting things I know we can talk about. I've, as a mortgage broker, people have come to me sometimes asking for mortgages on houses that were grow houses, and that's possibly a whole other
that's a huge
conversation.
For sure.
So thanks so much. We've got your phone number on the screen there, and your website, of course, Canada Restoration Services. Darren Gradis, thanks for being with us. We're going to take a very short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk with Gary Nuska from ICIWorld.net. He is back in the house, and we're going to be talking about apps for real estate agents, apps that you need to have. And there is some functionality that is available in the websites that they offer that is incredible. If you haven't seen them, you need to see this. Hang in. We'll be back in just a minute.